As we start this hour, we've been fortunate to be part of some really cool visions, some ideas that people had and things that people felt called to do and have asked us to be part of it. Some of it, it works out. Some things, we come to the conclusion, hey, it must be somebody else because roadblocks are in the way. We can't do it. But one of them that has just come into our world is something called The Awakening, and it will be in Birmingham, Alabama, starting tonight. Actually, Pelham, right outside of Birmingham, at the Verizon Wireless Music Center. And we told you about it last week, a football coach who was watching some of the things. I know a lot of you out there who have, high school children and early college children, and those of you that are in youth ministry that are out there, God bless you. Pray for you guys all the time because it is a roller coaster ride when you're dealing with young people. We were all roller coaster rides when we were young people. But, this coach tried all the approaches that the world tells you to try to keep young people out of drunkenness and fornication and you name it, and he just wasn't seeing any results. And, of course, a lot of that had to do with they were parents who, didn't seem to be on the same page with caring what their young people were doing. And he just felt overwhelmed and went into his office, shut the door, and cried out to God, says, you know what, these things aren't working. I can't change them. And God said, no, only I can change them. And it was an awakening that he had. And then he decided to try to make it only a God thing. And I know some of you freak out when we use that term. But to make it only a God thing, and that was he wanted to have 3 speakers come in. I'm honored to be one of those 3. 2 of these guys, and on a smaller degree, even with me, usually know where we're going to speak a year and a half, sometimes 2 years in advance. And when he told Speedy that he thought he wanted to do it this week, this was a week ago, when he said that, everybody said, well, you'll never get these speakers. They're booked so far in advance. And that's usually the case. And as they started to approach David Nasser, who just joined us, Scott Dawson, and myself, all 3 of us said, I got one day that week. And it was all the days they needed us. And David Nasser joins us now. David, you said something the other day when we were getting together with some of the people that are going to be volunteering and putting this event together. And it's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything. All you got to do is just be there. You made the comment that your calendar has a lot of stuff on it. But it's those things that are not on your calendar that usually turn out to be some of the most powerful.
That's so true, man. I mean, what I was saying the other day when we had this kind of a press conference and a gathering of some of the leaders in the Pelham area and Shelby County area to them was, when I look back on my life, so many of the most powerful events in my life were never programmed in before I walked into them. I just look back on the moment where I met my wife, the moment where God kind of sent through some channels a picture about my son Rudy in Guatemala that he wanted us to adopt. I look back at other moments where I kind of went to an event thinking it was just another one-night event, and then God just exploded, not just in the room, but in my own life. And usually those things aren't on my iCal. I don't have on my iPhone, today God and I are going to have this collision, and I'm going to walk away never the same. But what's great is that God just kind of laughs sometimes when we make plans, and he says, well, he has no idea this is about to come down on his life. And 2 weeks ago, I had no idea that on Tuesday night, on tonight, that I was going to be at the Verizon Amphitheater. Neither did anybody at the Verizon Amphitheater, and neither did you know that tomorrow night you'd be speaking, or Scott Dawson. But then God placed a vision and a burden in the heart of a coach. And when he did, what I love about this brother is that he was just obedient. I love that he was just obedient. And all he could do is begin to pray and then share his vision with somebody else, speak it out loud to somebody else. Well, he happened to make the mistake, and in a fun way of saying, of sharing the vision with, people like Speedy, who happened to have influence in our city and who happened to have this view of God of, wow, you've got an audacious burden in your heart. And so why don't we see if we can partner with you? And the next thing you know, this whole thing starts spreading like wildfire. Speedy calls me, and another youth minister friend of mine, Bo calls me, and when he comes from those 2 guys, and they're like, man, you need to really pray about being a part of this thing, immediately gets my attention because of the source that's calling me, a friend that I trust. But then on top of that, you just start to hear the burden of of a man who says, I want to see this city reach for God. And I go, man, that's what we've been praying for.
I was about to say, you can relate to that.
Yeah, as a pastor, that's what Christ City Church has been praying for. And I know that's what you guys have been praying for in your community. And so, we go, okay, well, what does that mean? And then Speedy goes, well, he wants you to come speak. And I'm like, yeah, bro, that's great. And in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, it'll be next year or whatever. And he's like, well, it'll be for next Tuesday. And I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of funny because it happens to be the one night of the week where I'm home. Actually, Monday and Tuesday. But I'm like, okay, I'm available that night. And he's like, yeah, but they want you to come speak. And it's going to be at the Verizon Amphitheater. And in my mind, I thought, well, they're not going to get that place. And he's like, no, they've offered it to us, because they believe in this event. And you just kind of sit back on the sidelines and you go, this is much bigger than one person. This is much bigger than one man's vision. This is really God at work. And when those kind of things happen, all you want to do is just get in the water and let the river just take you wherever it needs to take you. So I don't know what tonight's going to look like, honestly. I don't know if 15 people are going to show up or 15,000 people are going to show up. But I can tell you this, at that moment, for me, it's just about obedience. At that moment, it's like, God called me to go, so all I can do is really just say, yes, Lord, I'm yours. Use me. And so I'm gonna be prayed up and just ready tonight. I can't wait. There's a really great band, Elevate, that's going to be leading our worship. And Sir Bubba Bussey will be
that's right, baby.
A part of the ceremonies tonight.
Bringing
he'll
in the
be
ringers.
Up there. That's right. He'll come and so and another group of young guys that are going to be singing called G5, and so that's tonight. So we're all going to kind of get together and partner together in ministry, and who knows what God wants to do tonight. But I'm praying for harvest. I'm praying for God to move in a mighty way.
Well, you really do have to get in that mindset. And it was the same thing. We were headed to the Auburn game last Saturday, and Speedy said, Saturday before, not this past, but the one before. Speedy said, I need to ask you about one thing, and you know how you can already tell where somebody's going? Yeah. I said, buddy, look, situation, man, I got 3 playing football. I said, I'm booked up. I know what I'm doing in 2011, like that. I said, really, right now, the only night of the week I have is Wednesdays. Yeah. And Speedy says, well, Nasser's got Tuesday, Dawson's got Thursday. We need you for Wednesday.
That's awesome.
And I said, well, that's all I got. And then I thought, well, I'm going to go over and speak to the team. That's what I thought. And then all of a sudden I said, y'all have done what? Next what? I said, I've been a part of events like this that they planned them for 1 year, and you're going to plan it in 10 days?
Yeah.
and the same held true with Dawson when Sisk called him. Donnie, he's the chaplain for the team. When he called him, he said, well, look, the only night I can do is Thursday. and he was like, well, that's when we need you.
Right.
It's just amazing.
So we'll see. You know what? But the thing, you got to get in the mode, and I'm like, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
The great part in this is for Coach, for me, for Bubba, for Speedy, for Helmsy, for you, Rick, for Burgess, for Scott Dawson, for Elevate, for Saul DePaul, for G5, for all of us, and for everybody else who came to 2.5 hours of counseling training last night. For Scott Lenning, who gave up his Monday night to train people. For every
Did you
one
see
of
the
us,
number? They had like 224 people show up who just want to counsel and help.
I know. That's amazing. So for every single person involved, really what this is all about is about trust and obedience.
Which is salvation.
If we just kind of do what we are, the little things that we're supposed to do, then we can just tonight kind of show up and go, now God, we're going to do the little things we're supposed to do, so we can now sit back and watch you do the big things that only you can do.